Everybody, welcome back. It is time. It's not quite as chilly as it was last time you saw us on a video. Nice little warming up a little bit. And that means that it's spring football time. We are oh so close, less than a month away, I think. And that means it's time for your favorite, the series that gets you through the doldrums of March. That is, of course, the Spring Preview Position Series presented by X's and Noles, presented by Noles247.com. Today, as we are wont to do, we want to get right to just cutting to the chase. Start with the most important position on the field, one of the most intriguing positions for Florida State in 2024. That is right, quarterback. I am here with my two quarterbacks. I am here with Coach Adam Brown, and I am here with Kevin Little, and we're going to talk QBs today. Guys, I feel like this is a very intriguing spring for Florida State, coming off their most successful season in years, and there is a whole lot of turnover, and that means a whole lot of off-season storylines for you boys to discuss with our people. How do we feel? Go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean,
Adam, you go first. Go ahead.
This is the spot, right, where there is a boatload of unknown. When you're going to start talking about 2024 Florida State football, it's going to start and stop with what the hell happens in the quarterback room. We've been used to kind of knowing and expecting Jordan Travis to be there behind center taking the snap, and now he and all that production are gone. And I think it's safe to say that most people would have him on their Mount Rushmore of Florida State quarterbacks, if not at least in the conversation for. So you're talking about replacing that type of production and that type of football player with a couple of different guys that we're going to talk about. And oddly enough, I feel like the room might be in a better spot.
Ooh, okay, we'll talk about that. Kevin, like you said, Adam did mention the production that is leaving. Of course, the legendary Jordan Travis last year, that production, he was 290 for 324, 5756 yards, 20 TDs, only 2 picks, 176 rushing yards with 7 touchdowns, an 87.8 PFF grade. Like Adam said, there's a whole lot of unknown, but like 3-6 Mafia said, DJ Uiagalelei might be the most known unknown there is because he is well known. We know his game. I know that was a great reference. Feel free to giggle at home if
beautiful.
it was. Yeah, I love that CD. I burned it up. Listen, like I said, the most known unknown, DJ Uiagalelei, because he's unknown like to Florida State fans. He did his sabbatical up in Corvallis, Oregon. But his game is very well known as far as quarterback prospects on the transfer market. He had to be the most known commodity out there, and you could tell that Florida State put a value to that, specifically the things they know about him that he does well. Mm-hmm. Kevin, how are you feeling about the Florida State quarterback room coming into 2024?
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Travis, we've said this for a long time. Jordan Travis is a special player. He's a special athlete. He's a special quarterback. Blessed to have him wearing Florida State garnet and gold for the past few years. He wasn't recruited by Mike Norvell. When Mike Norvell recruits his own quarterbacks, they've looked like Brady White. They've looked like Luke Kromenhoek. They've looked like Brock Glenn, someone else that we're going to talk about today. They're guys that, well, except for Brady White, that can move, but it's not their strength, right? Mm-hmm. Those are the kinds of guys he typically brings in. And usually you bring someone in that you feel like fits your offense the best. I think Jordan Travis was such a special athlete that it didn't really matter whether or not he was the perfect fit for the offense, because when you have Jordan Travis, you play Jordan Travis. But now we've got someone that, at least on the surface, seems to have a few more qualities of someone that he's looking for. He's someone strong-armed. He's able to push the ball down the field. He's more of a pocket guy that can move when asked. And we'll talk about more of these kind of as time goes on, but it'll be curious to see how the offense kind of molds to him and changes to him versus, like with Jordan Travis. Was that an evolution of Mike Norvell's offense? Because it looks different than it did at Memphis. Or is that just a product of having to kind of fit the offense to Jordan Travis and it naturally kind of shaping itself from there?
I agree. I think 2024 is going to be the year where we will have the question answered, have all of the evolutionary changes of the Mike Norvell offense with Jordan Travis. Were they done because that's what Mike Norvell is evolving into as a play caller and an offensive mind, or were they to suit the talents of the most of the best player on that side of the ball in Jordan Travis? You're going to see that because you're not really going to have to manipulate like the Mike Norvell Memphis offenses of the past to a DJ Uiagalelei like you did for a Jordan Travis. So I think it's going to be interesting to see. And I would think, just as a guess, the supporting pieces that they brought in on the offensive side of the ball, I think it lends more toward we're going to see a lot more of what Mike did at like 2019, what he likes to do over and over again. He's got a wide playbook. He can lean on a variety of different concepts, but I think we start to see a little bit more of that bread and butter, that verticality start to kind of like creeping in, maybe mixing the ball up a little bit where we were very wide out focus last year. I think it's going to be much different. I think the running attack is going to come back, and I think DJ is going to have a big part in that. Adam, let's throw on some DJ highlights, and I know we've talked about him extensively because it's the most important part of this offense.
Yep.
But remind the viewers again what he does well, and what will his talents allow the Florida State offense to do well that maybe they've missed out over the past couple of years.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting conversation. So the things that he does well are push the ball vertically, but I wouldn't say that Jordan struggled, even though this past year he regressed in the vertical movement of the football. I think they had a weakness at wide receiver that I don't think that they realized that they were going to have in getting vertically. When I was mocked greatly by Brendan and Zach.
Glad to see you have a short memory on that, by the way, Adam.
about the loss of Pokey Wilson and his role in the offense 2 years ago. And his ability to run a post route was something they missed dearly this past season. His ability to get on top of and stack or just get on top of a DB and run by a DB. They missed that this past year. Some of that was because guys got hurt, and there was lots of different reasons throughout the year. But they lacked that at wide receiver this past year, and it showed in the offensive production. Even though the offense was still really good, it just always felt like it was lacking an explosive nature. So Jordan was good at it, but he did regress this past year because a lot of those throws were kind of 50-50 balls down the sideline, trying to fit it into different holes, whether it be the cover two hole or just trying to throw it over top of a man coverage corner before the safety would arrive. So DJ's got a humongous, powerful arm. You can see he can throw this thing. He can throw the bang eat, the dig route. He can work the ball vertical down the field with a lot of ease. He puts that back foot in the dirt off play action. I mean, he could probably throw the ball a good 70 yards if he had to.
Yeah.
And then the run game stuff. I mean, I really think that that's where they lack stability. They lacked efficiency last year, the ability to get ahead and stay ahead of the chains. And I think that if you're willing to use DJ's legs, look, this is his last go of it at quarterback in the college game.
And he's always been very durable through the years as well.
Yeah, he has been. He has been. And he's been a good, effective runner inside. But if you're willing to commit to, and he's willing to commit to running the football in power situations, but also taking off and getting 3-4 yards and, trying to make sure that they stay ahead of the chains and try to set up these deep shots. They played a boatload, or they faced a boatload of cover one last year. And now you've gone out and gotten a lot of guys that can run fast.
Yep.
The best way to beat cover one, get guys that can run really fast and run away from these sticky DBs.
Check, man. I mean, Malik Benson, Jalen Lucas,
they went out.
Jalen Brown.
Get a quarterback who can be a +1 in the run game. They were not going to do that with Jordan last year. You went and got DJ knowing that that's a strength of his. So commit to it, run him. Now he's a +1. Now that alters a defense. You're dictating terms with a +1 in the run game. On top of his ability to just absolutely sail the ball down the field. So, having said all that, I know, the passing game wise, I think that the strength of that is going to come from, I think, as stupid as it sounds to say, improving at wide receiver. But a lot of that is just getting guys that are faster, that maybe fit what you want to do better, and then having more of them. Really, they played with 2 wide receivers last year, and that's what they had. So now you should have 5, 6, 7, 8 guys that you feel like you can kind of run out there, and they can do things to be productive.
Kind of platoon it a little bit, and you won't have that much of a drop off. Whereas you did in games when Keon wasn't available or hurt or Johnny wasn't available, you could see a noticeable difference. Whereas the overall ceiling, because the talent might not be as good, but you've got a lot of more capable guys with a trait that is going to carry over from the first team to the second team, and that's that speed.
Yep.
So just to illustrate kind of what AB's talking about, I think this is a great clip of it. So we've got this kind of deep crosser look. And this is just something FSU wasn't really able to do last year. You're not going to send Keon. You're not going to send Johnny, starting from almost the far hash, going all the way across the field. These are long developing routes that you're trying to buy time for with your running game, with your offensive line, who I think they're going to trust a little bit more to kind of hold a pocket. And you see just how hard this is to defend over time. They're doing a pretty good job. Arizona's holding up. He uses his legs to buy a little bit more time. Nothing seems to be open. But, I mean, these crossing routes just over time find themselves gaps. And he's
got the ability to make these big throws.
That's a 30-yard play that wasn't open in the first few seconds, but because he was able to move, he was able to deliver a clean ball downfield. You have these receivers that don't necessarily have to win, with fancy route running. You just let them run.
Yeah.
Let it develop over time. I think that's a good point. Kev, now one thing I want to talk to you about, it seems like with the way that DJ's game is from the running perspective and some of the pieces they brought in, the interior guys like Terrence Ferguson, Richie Leonard, Roydell Williams at running back, it seems like Mike Norvell wants to get back into have more successful plays down to down, get a higher success rate, especially in the running game. Somewhere where I feel like overall that they regressed from down to down from 22 to 23. Do the inaccuracies that DJ has been shown to have 57% completion percentage last year at Oregon State, is that something that scares you that might derail an offense that is really looking to be more efficient in 2024 than maybe they were in 2023?
I mean, yeah. Before we get too far, I do want to talk about, I think you'll see a lot of this.
Okay, what's this?
This is empty set. We've seen Mike Norvell, especially in passing situations, go to empty set. This is a little bit of what AB was talking about. This empty set, what it does, you throw a running back out here. You're hoping you can get a one-on-one with a running back on a linebacker or something. You're essentially forcing the defense to play with, 5 defensive backs, right? Otherwise, there's going to be a mismatch somewhere. Either they're going to play 5 defensive backs or they're going to play 2 high safeties because someone's going to have a matchup somewhere, and you're kind of making the defense show their hands. And with a bigger bodied guy like this, what you can essentially do, what this does is it thins out the box, right? This guy, there has to be guys here. And even Colorado here is playing about as heavy of a box as you possibly could. They're essentially manned up all down the board with almost 6 guys in the box, but it doesn't really matter because what this really does is it just opens up running lanes for the quarterback. And so you kind of get your matchup both ways. You get your quarterback running up the middle matchup. You get matchups on the outside, and you can't, what a lot of teams will do is play a zone where they're kind of, where they kind of let that outside wide receiver free a little bit. So a cover 2 or something. But with his arm, he can get the ball down the field, get the ball in that little corner pocket. So they can't really cheat him there. So it's going to open up some run lanes, like you were saying. And I think they're going to lean pretty heavy on it. if you give me a second, I think there's going to be some inspiration from kind of how Washington State or Oregon State, sorry.
There we go. We'll get through them. We'll get through. I'll just name all the Pac-12s. We'll get there eventually.
One of the Pac-2.
Yeah.
While he's finding that, like, I mean, I think it's important to note, like, that was a 2nd and 14 play, and he's getting them back into a manageable situation, trying to get them back into a manageable situation. He read man coverage, knowing that they were in 5 wide empties formation, and he was going to be able to get some yardage back based on the look that they were giving there. That
we didn't
just
see a lot
lacking.
of that last year.
It just was lacking. Not that that's a knock on Jordan. They wanted to save him for the playoff run. They wholeheartedly thought they were going to be a playoff team and that they were going to unleash those kinds of things when they absolutely needed it in the playoffs to go try to win a national championship. And they got robbed of that opportunity.
Very fair point. I'm with you. So a lot more design quarterback runs in 2024 than 23.
Yeah, I think a lot more design. Well, look, I mean, it's tough to say. I theorize that, yes, that's what we're going to see. I think that we're going to see. Yeah. I think that we're going to see a commitment to run DJU when the opportunities present themselves, when defenses show the looks that they're looking for to get him turned loose. Quarterback power. We saw it a ton we saw it 2 years ago when Clemson came and played Florida State in Tally. I mean, they got him involved in the run game with some zone read stuff and really kind of made him look stupid. I expect more of it. I mean, it makes sense with him in his last year and what we're going to talk about with having a competent backup quarterback that now you can say, okay, QB1, we're going to make you a runner. You're going to do your thing because we feel like we've got a guy behind you who can step in if need be.
Mm-hmm. Kev, you pulling up some stuff?
Yeah. So just kind of to talk about, if you're using this very good Oregon State offense from last year. So, you can criticize the Pac-12 all you want. But for their talent level, they way outperformed what you would expect from this team. So this is a little bit how they did it compared to 2022, where they had an okay offense. You can see the passer rating jumped from 84 to 99. That went from slightly below average to 74th percentile over the past 2 years. Yards per play jumped up. Air yards per attempt went up a whole yard. It was already high, almost 90th percentile in air yards per attempt. So they're pushing the ball downfield. What's interesting is the success rate didn't really change much. It went down slightly. But what really happened was they went from being a decently explosive offense to a very explosive offense. And a lot of that has to do with the air yards per attempt, pushing the ball downfield, Oregon State, their wide receiver core, they didn't have a bunch of Keon Coleman's and Johnny Wilson's. They had a bunch of, faster guys, 6 foot tall track guys that could get open in space, or find space over a few seconds. And you can see like the yards per rush and whatever really doesn't change much. You're just trying to kind of increase that yards per attempt. That's where like you're willing to trade the 57% completion rate because.
Okay, that's what I was going to get to. So seeing that it looks like they threw the ball more. They threw the ball more effectively. His completion percentage went down, but from year to year, it was a better offense. It was a more explosive offense. So number one, does the completion thing, does that get voided by how much more explosive the offense was? And then one thing that I do want to talk about, and it's something that plagued DJ while he was at Clemson, which is why he had to transfer, and he's obviously cleaned it up over the past couple of years. It's something that we saw Jordan rarely ever do last year, and that's turn the ball over. Do turnovers scare you? So talk about the completion percentage thing, why that may or may not worry you, and then I want to talk about this Florida State offense. Say what you will about it last year. They did not give the ball back to the other team on unforced errors very rarely, if at all.
Yeah. So, give me a second to kind of
while he's pulling that up, Adam, what do you think about that? The completion percentage thing at 57, but obviously them throwing it, like being more explosive in 23 than 22. And then are you scared of turnovers next year?
I don't think the completion percentage is ever going to get a lot higher than that because of the elongated motion that he has. I think that lends itself to having some incompletions because balls are going to be behind wide receivers. Now he's going to have a more talented group around him. So could that eke up to 60%, especially in the Mike Norvell offense, which we've seen him do a great job of getting guys to play kind of above their level and
for
get
sure.
that completion percentage up. Yeah, I think if I was going to project him, I would project him in that 60% range, which is better than where he was. Turnovers, I mean, it's a tough one because having not looked at every turnover he had, it's hard to sit here and say, well, this was the problem or that was the problem. Again, I think the long motion lends itself to guys getting their hands on footballs, and that lends itself to the ball being in the air and balls getting intercepted. Yeah, I don't believe he's shown himself to be a big fumble threat.
Not that I've seen. I'd like to see the numbers on that, but anytime he's a battering ram, dude. And he's 2 hands on the ball, and it ain't going anywhere.
He also seems willing to work the ball in all parts of the field, which again,
good point.
The long motion can lend itself to guys getting their hands on the ball if you're working the ball in the middle of the field because it gets late. So I think that they're going to. I think it's something. Look, Mike has shown he can get guys to play at a certain level at this point. I'll trust that he's going to work on him with the turnover stuff, and they'll keep it in check. Is it going to be? Are they going to occur? Sure. I mean, what, Jordan had 2 picks on the year last year?
Yeah, that was it. 2 picks. Now more turnover worthy plays. For sure.
Which is important to note. So, I mean, what's that number? What if you were projecting? What do you think that number probably gets up to? 6, 7? You live with that. I don't think you're pulling your hair out over 6 or 7 interceptions over the course of a year.
Yeah, and for DJ's number, for context, he was 21 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. With all that stuff factored in his game, he was still the 12th best QB in the entire country last year by ESPN's QBR, which takes all that into account. So I'm with you. I do think he's going to tick that completion percentage up. I do expect it around like the 60 to maybe even the 65%.
Ooh, that'd be something.
Well, his highest ever was around 67, and that was his freshman year at Clemson, believe it or not. So I think that with the coaching and everything like that, and I still expect about a pick every other game, 6 or 7. But I don't know, man, with the benefits that you get with the success rate, and then hopefully with all of those factors of the offense working together, having those vertical threats, the PA crossers, maybe that'll open up some more space in the running game, which of course makes the play action game more effective. It's just with this quarterback that they brought in, Adam and Kev, the offense seems to build upon itself. The things that it's the engine that gets all those things going. And once they all start going and working together, I think it's going to be a really nice cohesive unit, which is weird to say with so many new pieces. Kev, did you pull up what you were looking for?
Yeah. So turnovers were really bad. The first year he started. So
was it 21?
Right. So I think it was like 8 touchdowns, 8 picks or something like that. It was abysmal. The next year was an improvement. And then last year they were pretty good with interceptions, 87th percentile, I believe, with only 8 picks or 76th percentile, only 8 picks. So I don't think it's necessarily a strength, but I don't think it's nearly the weakness it was a couple years ago.
Which is how Florida State fans, their memory is shaded from him, right?
Right. And to go back to the completion percentage question, here's a graph of air yards versus completion percentage. So what completion percentage kind of misses is, some teams throw it short a lot more often than other teams, and that's going to play out. Right? You got Florida over here with a 72% completion percentage, but on average they threw it 6 yards downfield.
Dude, they threw it less. They threw it less air yards attempt than Iowa, by the way, for context.
Well, this is Iowa.
Sorry, guys. I love you,
okay.
Iowa.
So Florida State, with Jordan Travis, I don't think anybody would say Jordan Travis was exceptionally accurate as a quarterback. He was accurate enough. He was a special playmaker. But they fall kind of on this trend line of anybody above this line is a team that tended to be more accurate than their air yards per attempt would suggest. Anybody below the line was a less accurate quarterback, right? So you've got your Navies and your Armies who, yeah, of course, their quarterbacks aren't going to be known for accuracy.
Right.
You've got your Iowas down here, which is Trey's home team.
That's his own. Hey, that's his own category.
But then, I mean, he's sitting right here on the same line that Jordan Travis was sitting on. So there's a sense of, I don't think he's exceptionally accurate for the air yards per attempt. Let's get that straight. But I don't think you can look at 58% in a vacuum and say this is a problem.
They're both on the line, like you said, and that natural degradation of like the completion percentage from Florida State to Oregon State, the data is suggesting it's just because Oregon State was bombing the field.
That's what I would conclude with this, right?
Yeah, so it's not a big concern.
It wouldn't be my main concern because they're going to try to be a vertical offense. They're going to try to be explosive. And when you do that, completion percentage falls by the wayside. And it's why we as a species have evolved past the need for looking at baseline stats like percentage.
Baby. Yeah, baby.
And we use things that are more advanced like passer rating, which, have their own problems, but like they're better,
I love it.
Just owning, like comping him to Jordan. Like I think there's Jordan was a 64% completion percentage last year. Like I think if you push DJ into that range, if you can get him into that range, or even slightly below, I believe that DJ is going to be more accurate down the field, which was an area that Jordan regressed this last year.
We saw some underthrows for sure. Yeah.
I think DJ is going to do better down the field, which is an area where they really need to get back to being effective there and being explosive. And that's going to lead to more explosive plays. And then on top of that, this is a really hard conversation to have because it feels like you're talking down on Jordan Travis, and I don't ever want anybody to believe that that's the case.
No. He's a special player, but with certain special skills, right?
Yeah.
You're going to lose explosive running game,
right?
For sure,
100%.
But you're going to lose. But you're going to potentially gain more efficient running game, which I think they need to get back to doing for this offense to really work. And so you may see a uptick in effectiveness throwing the ball down the field with DJ, an uptick in effectiveness of being efficient with the run game and specifically the power run game with the quarterback. It sounds like a recipe for success to me.
I think so. It's going to look different, but even with all those guys leaving, it might not be that much less effective than last year, which is very interesting. I'm interested to see how it's all going to play out. So talking about the next player for our very evolved viewers, as Kevin would like to say, and I think he's 100% right because they're the most evolved viewers I've ever seen. Let's talk about Brock Glenn. He's the only guy from last year who's coming back because, like I said, Jordan Travis is gone, Tate Rodemaker gone. He's at Southern Miss. AJ Duffy's an Aztec at San Diego State, and we got redshirt freshman Brock Glenn, who reports have said he's been looking really good. He's a guy that Mike Norvell and staff like. He is a quarterback that Mike gravitates to from that skill set. He's got a very high ceiling. He got thrown in two of the worst possible situations ever for a freshman quarterback to be in, and he still showed progression from game to game. It's interesting, guys. Do we think that we have a legitimate battle? And what about Brock's game excites you the most from the limited action that we saw him in last year?
I don't even think it's his game that excites people, honestly, if I'm being completely
is it that he's a real gym rat?
Like I had somebody tell me that he's the most impressive kid they've ever sat in a football room with.
Oh,
yeah, like legitimately. And I'm not talking about Brendan, who gushes about Brock Glenn every chance that he gets.
Another anonymous source.
So, I think rightfully so. No, I mean I think this person has been around some football players and knows a little bit about football. And I mean, that was a legit quote. Like, he called him the most impressive kid he's ever been around. So I think that speaks volumes. I think that the thing that stands out about Brock is his mindset. Like, I think he knows what he wants. I think he knows about how to go about getting it. And he's driven to do those things. And a lot of times you see these great athletes or these great sports players or figures or whatever, they all have a mindset like that. So I think that there's some projection that mindset and that attitude, I think, as Brendan has put it, that moxie is going to lend itself to him being a good quarterback at Florida State. I think the reason I'm the most excited or more excited about the quarterback room this year is because if DJ doesn't do the things that we just laid out there a couple minutes ago, then you've got a young kid in Brock Glenn that you feel really good about. Or if DJ were to go get hurt because you're committing to running him, you've got a young quarterback in Brock Glenn who you feel really good about. You haven't had a good backup in, I'm sorry, Kev, you haven't had a good backup in years. It's been, holy crap, we can't lose Jordan Travis. And now it's like, all right, yeah, DJ, we're excited about DJ, but we're excited about Brock. And
so you can let it all hang out a little bit more from an off.
Yeah,
You're not holding so much back.
Right. Yeah, you're just going to let it hang.
Yeah, I think that I think for me, for Brock, I'm going to need to see a lot of growth. I mean, coming from myself, who was a quarterback in high school, I could tell you all the coverages. I could tell you all the plays. That didn't mean I was any good, you know.
I bet you are much better than you think.
I'm a better an analyst than I ever was football player. So, but like that's the thing. So I'm going to need to see it. I'm going to need him to show. I don't think that his measurables are going to scream at you that he's some special athlete. I think he's good enough. The question is he going to be someone who can, take advantage of what he does have? Is he going to be someone like prime Mackenzie Milton at UCF, or, Kellen Moore? I think he's more athletic than Kellen Moore was. So but
I have to root for him now. Damn it, he's the Eagles' offensive coordinator.
Is he going to be some guy that really maximizes his physical potential? And I think he's got more potential than either one of those guys. Well, maybe I think KZ's a pretty good comparison because KZ was pretty athletic in his own right back in the day. But can he take the impressiveness in the whiteboard room and turn it into impressiveness on the field?
Will the moxie will him to play above his athletic ability level? I don't know. He got better a couple times we saw him. You got any film on him? I know. Yeah, he did get better when we saw him, and the reports have been consistently really good on him. But that is a question. You do have to have, you got to turn that potential into actual results and production. We'll see. Another, a full spring with him. He's going to be one of those kids where there's going to be a jump that happens. And I don't know. I don't think that jump is going to be enough to supplant the guy that you went out and brought in.
Yeah, I agree.
But man, we can get it close. I do think the kid's in for a meteoric jump. I really do. Like a nice jump. But let's throw some film on Brock if you have him. I think you got some stuff from the old Orange.
Yeah.
Bowl.
So there's
exhibition.
There's two plays I kind of want to highlight here, and they're back to back on this highlight film, so it kind of worked out for us. And we're going to see he does have some tools, so he's not devoid of physical talent. I do not want to make that the way that sounds. So he moves all right in space, does a really good job keeping his eyes downfield, and makes a decent throw on the run. This shows some arm talent, some real arm talent.
Quick too, because the guys he's playing against, this is the Georgia defensive unit, and then this is good stuff right here.
This is a great ball. All right, so what does he see? He's got man coverage here. You see the safety rolling down. This guy's not going to be able to get all the way across the field, most likely, if you can make a decent throw on the outside shoulder. He's even playing inside leveraged. So you have an outside release. You're going to be able to get there. You just have to be able to make that throw. And he does. I mean, that's a great throw, a great arm. What is he?
50 yards. Well, 55-ish, 57.
Do it from the 35. Yeah.
It's a good arm. It's not an elite arm.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think anybody will be confused with, Ben Roethlisberger or anything like that. Every time I've watched him or seen him play, he reminds me of Brady White, but more athletic.
yeah, he has a step on Brady White. I think he's a few inches shorter than Brady White was, but
which I don't think that means a whole lot anymore. He strikes me as a guy that's going to be, he's going to have some gunslinger to him. I don't think it's ever going to look like Peyton Manning, where he's going to take a 5-step drop, back foot, boom, balls out.
No, it's not going to be like textbook, right?
I don't think Mike wants it to look like that either, if I'm being completely honest. Like, I think Mike likes those guys that just, they're going to go out there and take chances. They're going to go out there and find plays and just kind of, it's never going to look perfect. They're going to go out there and take their chances and get those explosives, and that's okay.
But what's interesting is that I think the shots that they take, like you see this with JT, his turnover worthy plays went down every year. He wasn't making a lot of turnover worthy plays. They take safe shots.
Yeah.
Like that. That's a good point. Yeah.
That ball was either going to be incomplete or is it going to be a big play?
Right.
He's not throwing it in triple coverage.
Yeah. No, I guess that's certainly a solid point. I guess what I mean gunslinger is like, he's going to move around in the pocket.
Yeah.
He's not going to be a statue back there. He's a guy he's going to maneuver around. He's going to make 3 guys miss, and it's just going to look awkward.
It's going to be more Favre and less Manning.
Yeah.
It's
not,
I
get what you were saying, Abby. You're
right.
right.
With like the throwing it into triple coverage and like being daring in that manner. Yeah.
It's going to look a little wonky, but you're going to feel the moxie emanating from him.
Yeah, I think he's got
the aura of moxie.
Because he doesn't have an elite arm, because he's not an elite speed athlete, because he doesn't have all that height, he's going to have to get used to the speed of the game. And that's what was happening against Louisville, against Georgia, against 2 really, really good defenses. He was still getting used to the speed of the game, and that's something he's got to continue doing. And how well he's able to do that will dictate his future here, because frankly, there's someone behind him that's really freaking good.
Yeah.
Good segue, Kev. You are a great analyst. Yeah, you're right. Speaking of future, the 2 freshmen that make up the bulk, like the rest of this quarterback room, the first is 4-star, borderline 5-star, Luke Kromenhoek. I cannot say, and I know that this has been this interview, this thing that we did with Zach, the official visit, when we went through the film with that kid, as we plugged it a lot. I think we plug it a lot for a very good reason. That kid is extremely like the highest caliber of impressive for somebody of his age. The football recall, the explanation, the general way that kid carries himself. Like we said, we have all of these superlatives about Brock Glenn, and I think they're deservedly so. It's not a guarantee that he'll ever be a starter for Florida State, and that's no knock on Brock Glenn. It's just to the talent level of the kid that is behind him. Luke Kromenhoek is a great prospect. He is a prospect that Mike identified, found, and locked in early and kept him in the boat when some big names were calling for him. That is an extremely impressive kid. I think we're going to put the link to that video in the description of this one. If you have not seen it, please go, because that kid is a Florida State Seminole now, and he will get you excited for the future. The overall health of this QB room, to Adam's point, is we're good. Our resting heart rate is at like 45, dude. Like we're in perfect shape in this room. And then of course you also got another freshman, like as a walk-on, a borderline 4-star kid, Trevor Jackson. He was a kid that was a 4-star. I think he was committed to Ole Miss. He came in as a walk-on. That's a great kid to have as a walk-on. Yeah, but guys, what do you think of Luke's game? What do you think of the overall health of the room? I mean, I'm not trying to oversell him, but this is a legitimately awesome quarterback. Florida State's best quarterback prospect that they signed in high school since, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not even going to pretend to go back through all the DeAndre Francois probably as far as like rating goes. Luke doesn't have. I don't think he has any updated senior film. Obviously, he went through the season and then was in bowl practices. So I don't think he spent a whole lot of time going on huddle and updating his senior tape. So we don't think it's that valuable to pull up his junior tape. It's 2 years removed at this point. And just, I mean, it is what it is. If you want to go find that, it's easy to find on huddle. Luke's got a big arm. Luke's athletic as hell. Luke's really smart. He just checks all the boxes for what you're looking for in a quarterback. It's as far as an analyst or somebody that's watching from afar would be looking for. He's got the size. He's got he's got all the tools. The mechanics are really clean. He's been trained really well by different quarterback coaches and by his high school coaches. It's the total package. I don't know why he wasn't a 5-star. I would love to hear from somebody to tell me why he wasn't a 5-star, because he sure as hell looked like one of the best quarterbacks that I've seen in a while. So I'm curious of Kev's thoughts, and then we can continue.
Yeah. No, I think, I mean, I assume whoever your unnamed source is has also talked with Luke Kromenhoek. Maybe he hasn't, but
yeah, actually not yet.
Okay. So I think you got to be excited that you got two guys that, in my opinion, if Brock Glenn is as sharp as he's been touted as, which I do not doubt one bit, you got Luke K coming up, who I think is also a pretty sharp kid. Like AB was saying, I think he's got all the physical potential in the world. The one thing about Luke is, how is he gonna emotionally, transition to a Florida State? He's coming from what, Benedictine military school or something like that. He's coming from a smaller private school. He's coming from a little bit more of like a kind of sheltered background. He's got a little country accent on him. He has a little bit of youth to him when you talk to him, and he's going to be thrown in with guys, guys that have kids at 17 years old, and guys that are paying off 3 mortgages, that are his teammates that he's going to have to be the leader of. And so, like, how he transitions to a different environment is going to be an interesting thing. And I think the social transition is going to be very big for him.
I feel good about that just from the conversation that we had with him, though. To your point, Kev, coming in, being a quarterback, there's so much of that stuff that happens off the field that we're never privy to. We only get to see the results of it, how the connections that you make with your teammates, things like that. That kid is socially savvy, man. Like, he knows when.
I think he'll figure it out.
I think so too. Like, I think that's a great point, because sometimes it doesn't work out. And if the social, like, if it doesn't matter how physically talented the kid is in the world, if socially you can't figure out that transition to the next level, then you're like Malik Henry, right? It doesn't matter how talented you are. It ain't going to work out. Yeah. Luke is not Malik. No. Just the way that he talked, the way that he knew when to turn on, like, the coach speak, the stuff that sounds like Mike Norvell answers in press conferences, to when he would push the button of like, oh yeah, we wanted to twist the knife in him and like drop a bomb. Like I said, very impressive kid, and very impressive physically. From just, he was the starting safety for their defense. I mean, the kid can run, the kid can throw, and he can pass. It's very impressive.
Little Booby Miles.
Absolutely. Shout out to the GOAT. All right, boys, this one's wrapped up. I got nothing else to say. I am excited about the quarterback position, much more excited than I thought I would be when you're talking about losing one of the most iconic players in Jordan Travis from this position in the school's entire history. It's going to look different, but I still think it's going to be a very highly effective and healthy room, and I can't wait to see how it all plays out this spring along with you, our evolved, educated, wonderful viewers. Guys, if you are not subscribed to this channel, take back all those nice things I said about you, because I don't mean it about you. If you're not subscribed, I don't mean it about you. Get subscribed so I can mean it about you. Turn your notifications on. Go to the Noles 24/7 YouTube channel. Turn all those notifications on. Subscribe to Noles247.com right before spring. It is the best Florida State community in the world. Best info, best analysis, and it's really fun. So join the fun. And get ready to join the fun with us more, because we have every other single position group coming at you, and we're going to get it to you all before spring. For Kevin, for Adam, I'm Trey. We love you. Keep chopping.